Hello, it's Michelle DeLeon for Two Peas in a Bucket with another Seeing Double video. Today I'm going to focus on wood products for this mini book and layout that I made with photos from my birthday weekend. First, I'm going to go through some of the products that I picked out. There are a lot of clothespins that are out right now. There's some from Amy Tangerine and the smaller ones by Pebbles. So here's just a little comparison on the size difference. There's also some by Maggie Holmes that I picked out. I also have these basic gray die-cut shapes from Hipster that has a few different shapes, and some of these wood veneer cards from American Crafts and Amy Tangerine that have different prints on them. I also have these freckled fawn wood chips, so I have some of the stars and bits and the arrows. I also have the Studio Calico hearts that are a bit darker. There's quite a range of wood grain papers, and I just have a few here. So I have one by Crepe Paper, one by Ellie Studio, another one by Crepe Paper, and that last one by Amy Tangerine, if you're looking for a more flat way to incorporate wood grain. For this mini book, I was inspired by the colors in the printables, with the navy and the mint green, and also the pops of yellow. So I selected pattern paper from that color scheme, and that'll be the base of my mini book, and I'm going to use the wood products for embellishments. So this yellow chevron is by Fancy Pants, and I'm actually going to glue it onto the back of this navy floral print by Dear Lizzie. I got the paper pad and I didn't realize it actually was one-sided, but that is actually handy in this case because the color on the other side wouldn't have worked out with the color scheme I was going for. I also selected this matte print by Teresa Collins, but later you'll see that I did swap it out just because it ended up being a little bit too busy for me. For my mint green, I picked this Fifth and Frolic Dear Lizzie paper, and it has a nice light blue on the back. To hold it together, I was just going to do a simple stitch down the center so that both sides of the paper will be shown. Here I'm just trying to make sure that I like the color and the order of the papers. So you can see I switched out that matte paper, and I'm just putting the first photo, and I'm going to layer it with this yellow. And I also wanted to bring in the mint green, so I have this piece from the Lucky Charm line from Dear Lizzie, and I'm just going to layer that underneath. I also picked out the wood veneer card from American Crafts for the other side, and I wanted to layer it with one of the printable journaling cards from the Two Peas digital store. I like how that fits there. I also picked out this speech bubble heart sticker from Amy Tangerine to add on to the photo. I thought that the photo wasn't really popping out just because it kind of blended into that background. So I picked out this Fancy Pants frame, and I'm just trying to see if it'll fit with the photo size, and it does. So I'm just going to add that to make the photo stand out a bit more. I like that the navy in the frame also kind of balanced that navy on the other side of the page from the printable. I thought that the other side just needed a little something extra, so I'm adding this glitter tape from American Crafts just underneath there. So now I have the basic structure of the first page, and I'll go back and add the journaling and further embellishing after. For the second page, I have the photo here, and I wanted to layer it with one of the printables, one of the journaling cards. So I'm just going to put the photo over where the space for journaling is, and I'm going to use this wood clothespin to clip it together. And I decided to use one of these crepe paper slide frames just to layer underneath, and I picked the one with the pink, and it matched really nicely with the pink on the other side of the page. So I'm just going to tuck it underneath there. And I'm also going to tuck under this little card from Crepe Paper, just as another layer. I did some stitching on the back side of that pink paper, so I'm going to take a piece of vellum to soften that and cover it up a bit. I took this navy printable banner, and I was going to layer it underneath this Evalicious badge and place it in the center. Later you'll see that I did switch that out. I'm going to take these basic gray wood shapes and use the curly brackets and just place one on each side. I'm happy with the overall structure of the page, and like the first page, I can go back to embellish further later. This middle page here is the biggest one, so I decided to change up the photo sizes and I used this 4x6 photo. This is one of my favorite photos. We rarely have pictures together, so you'll see I did use it again for the layout. So this is a Dear Lizzie die cut sheet, and I'm going to layer it behind the photo. I decided to use one of these smaller clothespins by Pebbles and just use it to clip it together. Decided to put things kind of at an angle. I didn't want everything to be too linear and straight. So since there is a little extra space there, I decided to make a vellum banner and add a title. So I'm going to use these Heidi Swapp translucent blue letters and spell out Friends. I also used the die cut from the hipster line from Basic Gray, and at first I was going to put it on the other side, but I decided it looked better just with the title there on that side. I'm trying to make a more conscious effort to journal more, so I'm going to use this journaling card from the printables instead of adding another embellishment to that side. So I'm just going to use a floral sticker and some pop dots for the banner just to give it a bit more dimension. Since the main elements are in place for this spread, I'm going to move on to the next page and go back to add the journaling after. So for this page, I wanted to use one of the crepe paper slide frames as an actual frame this time. First I picked out this kind of grayish purple, and it looked nice against the pink, but I thought that the white with the blue would just work better with the color scheme of the whole mini book. So I just trimmed down the photo to fit the frame, and I'm going to glue it down so that I can move it around if I'm still deciding where to place the other elements. So since this side is pretty light, I picked out some of the navy printables, and I'm going to layer it behind, and I think it just helps to balance with that navy on the other side. For that side, I decided to use this Amy Tangerine vellum envelope and this Evolucious journaling card to layer behind. Sometimes I forget that they are double-sided, and I ended up liking this side better. I wanted some of my smaller wood veneer to be kind of spilling out of the envelope, so I picked out some of these stars, and I also found this one little bird from Studio Calico that I thought would work well with the whole page. And I'm adhering things down at an angle just to keep it consistent across the mini book. That side there with the journaling card is a little empty, so I was thinking of what to put there, and I decided to just move on for now and come back later. For this last page, I'm going to use this Instax photo. I wanted to use another wood veneer card, so I picked out another one from American Crafts, and I thought it was kind of nice that the mini book starts and ends with something similar. This is a die cut from the Dear Lizzie 5th and Frolic line. I'm going to layer it behind the photo, and for some extra contrast, I'm going to bring in some more navy. On the other side, I wanted to add in this basic gray arrow, and I just wanted it to pop out a bit more, so I'm going to use some embossing powder. So I'm going to carefully take my tweezers and just load up that side with Versamark. I use tweezers because sometimes when I just use my fingers, I end up accidentally smudging off the ink and then it doesn't cleanly emboss. So I'm going to sprinkle on some of this Zing in gold glitter and just make sure that I cover the entire wood veneer. So I'm going to use the tweezers again just to shake off any excess so that I don't waste any. And it just takes a few seconds to heat up. I like the extra sparkle that it gave that side. For the front cover, I'm going to use this dark navy printable, and I'm going to layer on top of it. So I have this yellow crepe paper slide frame, and this die cut from the Dear Lizzie 5th and Frolic pack, since I already had those out, and also this wood veneer from the hipster Basic Gray line. To hold it together, I'm going to use this mint colored ribbon from Dear Lizzie. It's pretty similar to that front cover color, so I'm going to layer it over top of the navy printable and underneath of the slide frame and cluster of embellishments. I decided to use my hot glue gun to adhere the ribbon onto the front cover and the back cover. I just put down little dots of glue every so often. So now I'm going to go through and show you the finished pages after any changes or journaling that I added. For the front cover, I just added a few sequins. On this first page here, I added these Dear Lizzie rub-ons, just for some extra color, and also some of the smaller wood veneer. This page ended up changing the most, and I added this Dear Lizzie rub-on, and I really liked the soft effect on the vellum. This page didn't change that much. I just added my journaling and some stamping to the top of the card. I added some of the smaller wood veneer onto the right side as well, and on the left side I added this Amy Tangerine die cut to take up that spot on the journaling card. I used some more of the Dear Lizzie rub-ons for extra detail, and also added that circular printable and a happy die cut, as well as the arrow paper clip by Freckled Fawn. And here's another look at the completed mini book. And now onto the layout. I just have a piece of white cardstock here, and I knew I wanted to use a big portion of one of the wood grain papers, so I'm using one by Crepe Paper. I'm just going to place my photo in the center for now, and I also knew that I wanted a loopy, curvy banner of wood veneer at the top, so I'm just going to take out my twine and start shaping the twine to the curves and loops. So that's roughly where I want it to be, and I'm going to take out my wood veneer, and I have the Freckled Fawn and the Studio Calico ones. I'm just going to add to alternating sides in the different shapes and colors. I mostly wanted it to be random, but I just made sure to pick a smaller wood veneer for the loop so that it would fit. So I haven't adhered anything down yet. I'm still making sure that I like where everything is placed. For my layers, I'm just going to use the scraps of paper from the mini book, and that just makes it a lot easier rather than picking out all new papers. So that's looking good, and like the mini book pages, I can go back to embellish later, but I'm happy with the overall structure, so I think it's time to start adhering things down. I'm just going to set aside the wood veneer for now so that I can get the twine in place. I could have added the wood veneer onto the tip of the twine and had that banner first, but I just didn't want it to get too stiff and be difficult to work with and curve afterwards. So I'm going to do the twine first and then the wood veneer. So to adhere the twine down, I'm just using my hot glue gun, and I'm trying to take little sections to place the glue, and I'm trying to kind of twist the twine away from the paper and then add the glue and then twist it back towards the paper. So here I hope you can see that I'm rolling the twine between my fingers to get it away from the paper, adding the glue, and then gently rolling it back so that it'll adhere down onto the paper. So I hope that made some sort of sense. I just continued with that process throughout the rest of the banner. So once I was done with the twine, I started to adhere down the wood veneer. So I just placed a dot of glue near the base of the twine and then just added the wood veneer. So now I'm ready to start embellishing, and here I'm just adding a Maggie Holmes clothespin. The die cuts that I have out are from the Dear Lizzie 5th and Frolic pack that I already had out that I was using on my mini book. I just added an Evilicious badge to the center. And I'm also adding some Dear Lizzie Lucky Charm rub-ons to the background and my title. I just have an Amy Tangerine yellow sticker there that I'm going to use to put my title on so it'll stand out a bit more. And now I'm ready to start putting things down, so I'm just putting the rub-ons there and adhering the paper. I did the rub-ons first so that that little flower would be kind of peeking out behind the wood grain paper. And now just adhering down those die cuts as a little cluster to the corner of the photo. And I'm adding the title as the last step, and I'm just putting it onto that sticker first so that I can move the whole sticker around and make sure I like the placement. I just wanted the edge of the sticker to be underneath the die cut so that it would blend in a little bit better. And here's the finished page. I added some of these gold glitter star stickers to the sides, and I added my journaling along with these wood veneer arrows from Freckled Fawn, and a little bit of stamping that you can't really see too clearly there. And a close-up shot of that wood veneer banner at the top. And here's another shot of the finished page. Thank you so much for watching.